everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to continue the halogens, and we are going to discuss the chemical properties in this video. We have discussed the physical properties in another video. You can watch that. But here we are going to discuss the basic chemical properties, and later on we'll discuss the reaction of the halogens in another video. So here we discuss only the chemical properties, general one, the reaction of elements with hydrogen and the thermal stability of hydrogen halides basically. So how do we say that a certain element is more reactive? Let's just define it. The halogen, in halogens, the fluorine is the most reactive one. I've told you the reason in the previous video as well. Again, I'm explaining. Keep in mind, fluorine is highly electronegative. It has the ability to attract the shared pair of electron or the electron towards itself. So it has a power, you can say a strength, to attract the paired shared electron. So whenever it reacts with some other substance, it actually reacts with that, it actually influence the bond that is present in that atom, in simple words, to make you understand. So chlorine is less reactive than fluorine. So just guess what is the least reactive one? Of course, what is present in the last. And here we talk about iodine, not astatine, because astatine is radioactive. So we'll just confine our study to iodine. So bromine iodine is the least reactive of the four non-metals. What should you know? The reactivity decreases down the group. Though the physical state changes from gas to solid, and we say gases do not react, but solids can react easily. But here keep in mind the electronegativity and the size of an atom as well. The size of atom is becoming bigger when we go down the group. So when the size is bigger, it becomes difficult for the nucleus to have a control on the outermost electron, which make it less reactive. So simple, this is because the electrons are further away from the nucleus, and so extra electrons aren't attracted as much. So when a teacher doesn't allow you to enter the class, how can you make a bond in the class? Simple. So how halogen act as oxidizing agent means it oxidize other but reduce itself. So how do we define oxidizing agent? You must have learned, but here we need to explain everything. So oxidizing agent is, if it's not clear to you, it reduces itself but it oxidize others. Now this means it gains electron but it gives but it takes electron from the other one. So oxidation is basically the loss of electron and reduction is basically the gain of electron. So halogens are going to get electron. So reduction means it's a gain of electron, and these halogens, they gain how many electrons? Just look at how many it's present in group number 7. So there would be 7 electrons in an outermost shell. Every atom wants to have a stable electronic configuration, or you can say the electronic configuration of the nearest noble gas, which means that there should be 8 electrons in the outermost shell. So it has 7. Now it wants to have 8. So it's easy for this element to get one from outside or from the other atom. So group 1 is a very good example of that. So sodium, actually that is from group number 1, it has only one electron. So it's easy for this atom to give one electron instead of taking 7 electrons from the other atoms. That becomes difficult to ask every atom to give me electron so that my octet is complete. So it's better to give one electron and my inner would be complete, the ideal situation. So when the electrons are are exchanged, this, as a result, a sodium would have a positive 1 charge while a chloride would have a minus 1 charge. That is simple, the oxidizing agent, how halogens act as the oxidizing agent. The oxidizing power of halogens decreases down the group because it is difficult to get the electron. How? So the size of iodine is bigger. Again, the reason is very clear. It's difficult to get hold on the electron that is coming from some other atom. You cannot even control your own atoms due to certain factors that we are going to discuss, but you have to get a control on others atoms electron as well. That is quite difficult. That's why the oxidizing power of halogens decreases down the group. So first reason is electronegativity. The electronegativity decreases means you have least attraction for the incoming electrons. Atomic radii, the size become bigger, it become difficult to get hold on the outermost or the further away electron. The last one is the shielding effect. The electrons that are present in between the shells from the valence one, and for example if this is nucleus and this is valence shells, the shells or the electrons that are present in between these shells, between nucleus and the valence shell, they actually act as a shield uh, that you can say weaken the attraction of the nucleus towards the valence electron. Now how it react with hydrogen? So fluorine is the most reactive one due to its electronegative behavior, so it would react violently. While if we talk about iodine, iodine won't react violently. You need to give it some energy so that a reaction takes place. So fluorine react explosively even in cool dark environment. So fluorine in gaseous form react with hydrogen and makes hydrogen fluoride. Simple. Let's balance it. Let's put here 2 so that it is balanced. Then chlorine react explosively in sunlight, and you, if you haven't read it, then I'm telling you that when we talk about the chlorofluorocarbons or the ozone depletion, we say that chlorine react with our ozone, and it's actually destroying our ozones. That's why there's a ban on many compounds that release chlorofluorocarbons mainly. Those are banned basically. So same similar reaction will take place. Chlorine and water, it reacts to give its a gaseous form. When we talk about bromine, it's in liquid form, so we have to give it a bit of heat to activate the energy or to give the activation energy. The reaction would be same. Why we are putting everything in gaseous form? Because in gaseous form, the elements have no, or the atoms have no influence of the surrounding electrons or the surrounding atoms. There won't be any bonding. That's why we are writing it in gaseous form. The last one is iodine. Iodine, the reaction is really low and it mostly is in equilibrium form. That is H2, sorry, I'm writing H2 first, but it's okay. I2, and it's in equilibrium means the same reaction or backward reaction can take place at the same rate. So this is how the reaction with hydrogen takes place. Now it has some effect on the thermal stability. Let's talk about the thermal stability. We say hydrogen fluoride is formed, this is formed, this is formed. Okay. Now what about the thermal stability? Can they bear heat? Can they exist as this under heat or when we give them heat? So how do we define thermal stability? It refers to how well a substance can resist breaking down when heated. Was the is the bond strong or weak? So the hydrogen halides formed from the reaction of halogen and hydrogen gas decrease in thermal stability as we go down the group. Same reasoning is there. More electronegative fluorine attracts the or holds the shared pair of electron, making it difficult to break the bond. While in hydrogen iodide, the reaction is really um, it is easy to break because of the weak bonding or the low bond strength that we discuss in the physical properties as well. The decrease in thermal stability can be explained by looking at the bond energies. Like so, if you we have discussed in the physical the properties that the bond energies they actually decreases down the group. The reason is same: electronegativity and the size of atom. So hydrogen fluoride has the strongest hydrogen halogen bond, while iodine has the lowest thermal stability, mean the weakest bond. So let's learn about the different reactions. How do they react chemically? So you have to watch the next video. Till then, see you in the next video. Goodbye.